Hi everybody, it's Gardener Julia here. Welcome back to another day of virtual garden school. And today I'm so excited to be at the Vessel School Garden. We are now in the month of April, which means that it is officially spring here in Portland. What are some things that are changing all around us now that it is spring? Well, plants are starting to grow and pop out of the ground. We're seeing flowers blooming. The weather is warming up, and you might start to see bees and other insects starting to come out of their hibernation that they've been in all winter. April is also a really special month because we celebrate Earth Day in April. This year, Earth Day is on April 22nd. So on April 22nd, you can think about some ways that you can protect, take care of, and appreciate the earth that we live on. First, let's learn the sign language sign for flower. It goes like this. You take your pinched fingers and put them up to your nose on each side, kind of like you're smelling a flower. Let's try it. In last month's video, we learned all about the part of the plant that is underground, the roots. Today, we are going to talk about the reproductive part of the plant that is all the way at the top. We're talking about flowers today. We are going to be plant scientists, and we are going to cut open the inside of a flower, and we're gonna zoom in and focus on all of the different parts inside of our flowers. Then we are going to build art models of flowers using natural materials like sticks, rocks, twigs, and things like that. All right, so let's talk about flowers. Flowers are beautiful, often with bright colors and sweet smells. But there is some really cool science that is happening inside of these little guys. So flowers are the reproductive part of a plant, meaning that these are responsible for creating and producing more plants and flowers, meaning that they should turn into seeds, right? But in order for flowers to reproduce and make more seeds, they need to be pollinated. Can you take a moment to think what is actually happening during pollination? Pollination is the process of pollen from the inside of one flower passing and mixing with the pollen of another flower. When that mixture happens between the pollens of two different flowers, this flower can then turn into and create seeds. Now, flowers can't just get up and walk around and pass their pollen to another flower, so they depend on pollinators like bees and butterflies to crawl inside of their flower, get some pollen on their bodies, and pass it to another flower for them. Let's open up this tulip flower that I have to better understand how pollination works. Here is our tulip flower. There is a whole lot happening on the inside of this flower. Let's take a look. To get a better look, let's start by taking off these bright outside layers. What are these called on a flower? Petals. Petals are often bright colors in order to attract pollinators and also to provide a landing pad for some flying pollinators like bees and butterflies. These petals are bright pink with a bright yellow center. Flowers come in many different colors. Did you know that certain pollinators are attracted to certain colors? Let's imagine that this flower was red. Do you know which pollinator is attracted to the color red? Hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are really attracted to red flowers. So if you see a red flower out and about, it might be a flower that hummingbirds like to visit. Do you know what color flowers bees are attracted to? Bees are really attracted to flowers that are blue, white, and yellow. So they might be really attracted to the center of our tulip here. Did you know that there are some flowers that only bloom at night? What kind of pollinator do you think those flowers are trying to attract? Think about who flies around at night. Bats. Moths also like white flowers that bloom at night. Many flowers have little stripes, dots, or patterns in the center of the petals. These are called nectar guides. What do you think a nectar guide is designed to do? Nectar guides are designed to direct the pollinator directly to the nectar in the center of the flower. It's kind of like a runway strip of lights at an airport to help guide airplanes to the ground. So, there are three main parts left to discuss. These are the main parts of the reproductive system of flowers. We have the anthers, which hold the pollen. We have the stigma, which receives the pollen. And we have the ovary. Once a pollinator lands on the flower, it will be searching for nectar, and they usually rub up against the pollen that is at the top of these anthers. You can see the little yellow pollen grains on these dark black anthers. Now let's imagine that my finger was a butterfly, and I've been visiting flowers all day, so I have pollen all over my fuzzy body. When I come to visit this flower, all of that pollen on my body gets stuck to this sticky green part of the flower called the stigma. If you go outside and pick a flower, go ahead and touch the stigma of your flower. You might notice that it is a little bit sticky. And that's so that pollen can stick onto it. Finally, we have the ovary, and that is the center green part. This acts like tubes to carry the pollen that got stuck to the stigma. This is the part of the flower that will grow into a seed or a fruit. If this was a tomato flower, this ovary part would grow and turn into a delicious tomato. All right, now we are going to build some nature art. We are going to build a flower with all of the different parts that we just went over using natural materials. So I'm going to walk around the garden and find different materials like sticks and rocks and plants and build my flower on the ground somewhere. Can you go and find these materials and build your own flower at home? If you can't go out and find natural materials, you can also use materials from around your house, maybe things like blankets or pencils or Q-tips to build an anatomically correct flower. Here is my flower art diagram. It has its green petals. It has our sticks are the anthers. It has a center stigma and some pink ovaries here. I also added a stem to hold it up. I would love to see what you all create. So if you make a flower diagram using your natural materials or some materials from home, make sure to take a picture of it and send it to your teacher or myself. I would love to see it. Thanks so much for joining me in the garden and learning all about flowers and pollinators with me today. Next time you go for a walk or are outside, look for flowers and then look even closer and see if you can identify any of the little parts that are on the inside of it that help that pollination process happen. Happy spring! See you next time. Bye!